Welcome to episode 11 Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we are going to be breaking down season 1, episode 6 of Vanderpump Rules. We are cruising through season 1, having ourselves a blast, as you could say, talking about these people in this reality world that has superseded every insane expectation I could imagine, with trying to figure out why this show was as popular as it was, and then often being like, I understand, but there's a healthy balance of trying to figure both of those things out. And the person trying to help me navigate that healthy balance is my good friend Matthew Fox. How are you?
I'm doing good. I did not get caught with my trousers down this week, which is good because I work at
Proud
a
of you.
school.
I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. Before we dive in, folks, we appreciate you guys continue to navigate this and watch this with us. We are having lots of fun. This has definitely been interesting. It's definitely become like a weekly highlight for me, is to make sure whenever I get a chance to get around to watching this, and you know, trying to predict what's going to happen never works for me. So I'm just enjoying the ride. You know what I mean? It's not like we're covering the traders at the same time. So it's like trying to predict what's going to happen next and what shitty move the faithfuls or traders are going to make. This one, you might try to think you know what's coming, and then you don't. You just don't.
Well, and you know what's been interesting is the early episodes had weird titles, but we were building some real fun show momentum. In the last 2 weeks, we've had much better titles. With trying to suss out the ghetto bitch and figuring out who left their trousers down this week. But the episodes have been. We need more Tom.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
I'm not sure who. I can't remember what Katie's boyfriend's name is. He also Tom. Maybe we
Tom
need more
Schwartz.
Toms.
Yeah, we need more. We need Tom Dose. You know
We
what I mean?
saw them once briefly in this episode, and it was mostly, it reminded me of like expositional episodes they would stick into HBO dramas where you have characters we like just explaining what happened to everyone in case they didn't catch it.
Yep, exactly.
And
They
I
were
was
at a
like,
lunch.
is this all Tom gets? He's now the transitional expository
Yeah.
vessel.
It's been quite disheartening, especially after some monumental quotes that we expected from him each and every week, that we haven't really got that. But all right, Vanderpump Rules season 1 episode 6, titled "Caught with Your Trousers Down." IMDb score of 7.6, which is pretty high. And as I mentioned, that would be the third highest episode of our current run right now. But the synopsis of this episode basically breaks down the entire episode for us. When Jax and Laura Lee are caught having sex in SUR's bathroom and Frank insults a customer, Lisa is forced to crack the whip on her staff. Stassi thinks her life is back on track when she makes up with her old friend Katie and introduces her new boyfriend to her parents. But when an unexpected argument escalates, Stassi finds herself headed for a second breakup of the summer. All right. I love the beginning of this episode. It felt like we were going down going down a path of like, oh my God, look at this. These are our hopes, our goals, and dreams. And it's just like, I love how we talk up SUR as this greatest place in the world, but literally Kristen says nobody wants to work here because they all want to be movie stars. You know what I mean? Like that to me was hilarious.
Well, it's probably the case with a lot of places in LA because you have a lot of aspiring actors and singers, and they need a day job. And I think the being a waiter is a cliche for a reason.
It is that, or like you're a barista. You know what I mean? Like this is what I'm
At least
pitching.
at a waiter, you could get maybe some decent tips.
I'm pitching a new show for Lisa Vanderpump right now. I want it Lisa Vanderpump Starbucks edition. You know what I mean? I want her to have her own, the coffee pump. You know what I mean? Like we have a lot of different, Vander coffee rules. You know, I don't know. You know, there's latte. Lisa Latte. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of different play for names here that we can come up with this, but give me like barista. Could you imagine like Jax pumping out some coffees in the background? Tom just, being Tom on the intercom. So I'll take your order. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I mean, it is something.
Are we shocked that Frank's an asshole? No, not at all. Lisa has a sit down with her people. Apparently, the security guard walked in on Laura Lee and Jax bumping uglies. We can't figure out whether it was on the bathroom floor, whether it was on the sink. We didn't really get clarity at all. We don't really get clarity on all this at all. I do love the fact that Laura Lee is like ready to marry Jax and lock him down, have kids.
I mean, she's a stage 5 clinger.
Yeah, and Jax isn't even sure he even likes her, I don't think.
He doesn't even acknowledge they're dating.
No, Lisa confront. So this is the thing.
You know what?
I have. Go ahead.
Jax and Frank and Stassi all deserve each other, because I'm just going to go out on a limb and say they all suck.
Yeah, so it's funny to me. It's crazy. So we have the moral of this episode are 2 confrontations, quote unquote, with Lisa at the front of it, right? So we're going to talk about that. That's going to be the majority of what we're going to talk about here. So the first conversation with Lisa is obviously sitting down with Jax and Laura Lee. Now, her security walked in on these 2 having sex. Said they were butt-ass naked when they walked in on them, okay? So this is my question. Lisa says until she can see it, she has to let it go because she didn't catch him in the act. So let me pause for a second.
Didn't they catch it for the show? I feel like at the beginning, the cameras are following them.
Right.
When they go, yeah.
Right. So now flip this around. Lisa has a conversation with Frank because people were ordering martinis, and first off, he was charging double the price, not an extra shot. He was charging them double the price, which I don't know how we get in trouble for adding more money to the pot, but if you work at this place, you get in trouble. So now he does say that if the dude didn't get out of his face, he was going to pull his pants down in front of his girlfriend and put him over his head. The guy he called them peasants. He threw a beer at his face. But when Lisa confronts him about it, she says, "Frank, you're fired." My question is, she didn't see this happen. She also didn't see them knocking boots. Frank got fired. Jackson, Laura Lee did not.
Okay. So, first of all, from a business standpoint, this makes total sense.
Fire both of them, all 3 of them.
Well, you would be justified firing all 3 of them. But in the one instance with the sex, they completely deny that that's happening. She knows they're probably lying about that. But that is a behind the scenes, we don't want you to be doing that in our business thing. With Frank, if you were listening to the conversation, this isn't the first time he's gone off on a customer. And the key part there is customer. Like if Jax and Laura Lee were having sex on a table in the middle of the restaurant, they would also have been fired, because now you're talking about something, the doubling the drink price. She tells them it's supposed to be charged an extra shot, doubling things out. These are all things that from a business standpoint impacts your, everyone does Yelp and things like that, especially in trendy places like this. Getting bad reviews knocks you down. Having a customer, and she also acknowledged this is a customer who she knows, who she has a personal connection to. So you basically just threaten to give what they call it, an atomic wedgie to a friend in her restaurant. And Frank was unrepentant about it. He basically was proud of it, saying that was how he was supposed to respond. So I do think they're a little bit different situations, and a little bit of a different impact on a business standpoint. I think she would have been justified in firing all of them. But Frank went in there, as he probably talks about later, saying he wanted to get fired, which he definitely acted like somebody who there was no remorse, there was no anything, and there was dozens of witnesses to his actions. And she asked him, "Did you really do this?" And first he tried to downplay the language, and then she reads it back to him, and he's like, "Well, yeah, that's more accurate to what I said." Okay.
I wanted to apologize to you at home. I forgot to mention at the top of the show I was bringing in my business insider Matthew Fox to the table, um, business connoisseur here. And I don't disagree with you. I just think I am 100% on board. Frank deserved to be
Well,
fired. Frank
they
should have been
probably
fired.
also clocked that Jax was a better fit for their overall TV show.
Well, I mean,
But
100%. I mean,
Frank
yeah, I
is
mean,
Joe Pesci walking in on some plastic.
Frank is an idiot. And how he handled himself in this entire situation was just absolutely absurd. I mean, he's walking around telling everybody, Frank 1, Vanderpump 0. You know
Let
what
me
I mean?
ask you a question. Given all that happens in this episode entirely, do you think it's possible that Frank the man said, I don't want to be on the TV show anymore? And they found, because going from zero to the world's giant, this most giant cornholio in that quick, I never thought he was a cool guy, but he was straight up in Lisa's face, which he had to know how that was going to go. And then we get another confrontation at the end. I was just like, maybe he's done. Maybe he just doesn't want to be part of this world anymore.
Yeah, because I mean, you really the first two episodes, Frank's non-existent character of this whole process, and
Or he
then
just seems like a
an ancillary
genteel
piece.
background guy.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course, he goes in, swoops in. We still haven't uncovered the truth about the non-pregnant girlfriend, the pregnant girlfriend, but the pregnant girlfriend from 3 years ago. But Frank, ever since the turn of dating or attempting to, steal Stassi, build the story to tell the world that Stassi's not, or that Jax is, got somebody pregnant 3 months ago, blah blah blah. He's turned into the biggest heel, as he had the big heel turn, as you could say in wrestling terms, and hasn't looked back. But as you start to watch things, the dinner with the family was weird. I thought it like her family's weird. Um, but then like Frank is just so combative. It started early in the episode when she was talking about when she said something about how she was writing this blog that we found out that Stassi writes for Lisa. She writes this blog for Lisa, and then he makes fun of the blog that he does for Lisa, and then everything that she says at the end of this episode, he was combative. She asked a simple, and again, if you catch me defending Stassi, that's when you know what we have a real problem. Okay, everybody knows my feelings about Stassi here, but Frank makes fun of Stassi all the time. He literally, all she did was asked how he felt the dinner went with her family, and he was the complete dick. Like he was just a dick.
Well, I actually thought he was not very good with her parents.
Same,
Like,
but
I
they
can't remember the
kind of talked him
exact
up.
nature of the comment, but something about how she was like a privileged little pretty girl who could get everybody just to run and do errands for her.
Exactly.
I'm like, I looked at the look on her mom's face. I'm surprised she said her parents were worried about whether he liked them. I didn't strike me that either of them really liked him.
Yeah, and which was weird because she was talking about how her parents, that she wanted her parents. That's never the scenario. Her parents wanted to know what he thought of them, which really should be the other way around. I'm like, you're walking in there, you just got fired from your job, you're talking like a douche, you're acting like a douche, you're pretending to be some real estate mogul. You know what I mean? Like the whole scenario ended up being just absolutely positively absurd.
I mean, if you're her father, Stassi's
Well,
flaws. But if you were her father, would you have sat through that? I don't even like her as a third party observer. And I was like, somebody needs to take him out back and just
well,
be
his
some
dad was.
decency.
I mean, let's be real. At the dinner table, his dad was more worried about him being a Democrat than he was anything, potentially being a Democrat than he was anything else. So, I mean, because he handed him the flask with the gun on it, and Frank acted all weirded about it, and
Look,
then
we were
he.
making America great again, even back in the 2012s, apparently.
I mean, overall, to me, this episode was kind of bookend. I mean, obviously, we have the Katie and Stassi attempt to make up, and a bunch of crying happens. Nothing really to fruition really kind of made me jump for joy here. The
No
breakup
admissions
is,
of guilt. No.
yeah, I mean, nothing. You know what I mean? And then, of course, we have the big old potential, maybe possible breakup where Frank's being a dick. He walks out. Um, he kept
Oh,
on saying, "I'm going to walk away. I'm going to
I
walk
think they
away."
definitely broke up. I think that was the.
Yeah, it was kind of called. Now, I will say this. She goes to him, "Was I not good enough?" That was probably my favorite line of the entire episode. I just want to be like, "Hey, Stassi, Frank's an asshole, and I agree with you, but Karma's a bitch." Okay,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's what the title of this should have been, was Karma's a bitch. I don't like Stassi, and looking into next week's episode, it looks like she might get in trouble. She's getting in trouble for not doing her job. She's begging for her job. Sheena's emotional, has an emotional breakdown. Whatever. And then of course Jax Jax sees an opening to get Stassi back, and Laura Lee apparently attacks Jax next week. So I mean, I just want to know, where's Tom's name at in this entire scenario? I don't see anything about Tom in any of these synopsises. It's starting to make me mad. So
Yeah. Which um well, and then there's two like reunion episodes. So we only have two like regular episodes left and then two reunion episodes for the season. But
yeah. Oh, I forgot. Yes, we're almost done. We're because season one's a little bit shorter than some of the other seasons, but yeah, we're down to the, we're halfway point, right? Halfway, a little over the halfway point. One, two,
oh yeah,
yeah. So
we're
no,
yeah, we're over because it looks like every season they have like two or three. Like season 2 has 14 episodes and then three reunion episodes. Like,
yeah. Reunion 1, reunion 2, secrets revealed.
should we just when we're talking about them watch the reunion episodes together? Because
That might be comical.
well, I mean, it just how many reunions do you need? I'm guessing because it says reunion part 1 and 2 is probably just a double episode.
So let's see here. Reunion 1, hosted by Andy Cohen. The first reunite with SUR to discuss some of the most talked about antics of the season. And then Reunion Secret, serving up never before seen moments from season 1. Lisa and the crew speak candidly with Andy about the fights, fun, hookups, heartbreaks that you didn't see, like Stassi and Kristen's bikini blowout, the secrets of Tom's hair, Jax's Speedo stuffing, and the definition of Crimax. And Lisa discovers who on the staff wears paddock knickers. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it's kind of sad, but at least I hear Tom's name in that synopsis. But I mean, that is it for this week's episode of the Vanderpump Rules Season 1, Episode 6 breakdown. But we have to have an MVP of the episode. We have to have one. We have to. We have to. We have to. But Matt, I'm going to let you break down who you think this episode's MVP is first.
You know, I'm going to go with Tom Sandoval because nobody offers needless tertiary exposition of scenes we already saw better than Tom. This is my way of saying they all sucked. They all sucked.
I'm going to go with my MVP, and the only reason this person's my MVP is because they fired Frank. I'm going to go Lisa Vanderpump for standing on business and firing Frank.
That's true. She's immune from sucking. She was fine. It just you're probably right. She should have fired everyone. but Bravo probably said, "Hey, you can't get rid of Jax."
Yeah, Jax is bringing us some entertainment. I mean, Jax literally flew to Vegas to start shit. We need him to stick around just in case we decided what his next antics will be. But
well, and I take it from these ratings, people are more invested in Stassi and Jax than maybe you and I are.
I'm invested in Jax. I don't mind Jax. I mean, Jax is an asshole and Jax is an idiot, but I'm kind of anxious to see what the fuck happens between him and Laura Lee next week. That's gonna be, to me, because like she's ready to marry that man, and he's just like, I don't even know if I like you, let alone if you're my girlfriend or not. Like,
no, he didn't. He was squarely that she's not his girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So like,
I don't even know if we're dating. We're just hanging out.
Exactly. So to me, that's the most fascinating part of this entire process for me. So, but yeah, that is it for this episode of the Love and Reality podcast, recapping Vanderpump Rules. Caught with your trousers down. We'll be back next week, breaking down another episode. And if you're listening here on podcast platforms, that is it for us breaking down Vanderpump Rules and the Traders this week. It was a fun episode on both accounts. Both episodes kind of felt a little lackluster, but we're inching near the end of Vanderpump Rules and the end of the Traders almost simultaneously at the same time. But we're definitely going to continue our journey through Vanderpump Rules, and we'll definitely figure out what we're going to cover after the Traders comes to an end. But that is it. We'll talk to you guys next